Every day, billions of people wake up. They go to work, they eat, they argue, they laugh, they lose people they love, they gain things, they lose that too. And almost none of them ever stop to ask, what actually is all of this? Not in a dramatic way, not in a crisis, just genuinely, what is the nature of the thing we are all living inside of? Because here is something strange. An ancient Indian text, written thousands of years ago, has an answer to that question. And that is so precise, so clear, so practical, that philosophers and scientists are still wrestling with the same idea today. And that's what this video is about. Most people assume the world is exactly what it looks like, a collection of separate things. You, me, the tree outside, the coffee on your desk, all just existing next to each other independently. But ancient Indian wisdom, specifically the Bhagavad Gita, says something very different. Sarvam Vasudeviti. Everything is Vasudev. Everything. Every single thing you can see, touch, feel, or think comes from one source. That sounds abstract. So let's make it completely concrete. A hospital, a fire station, a school, hundreds of cars, hundreds of people, an entire world in miniature. Every object in that city looks like completely different function, different color, different name. Now pick up just one piece, any one at all. What is it made of? Plastic. Every single piece, same material. The ambulance is real, it has weight, it has function, but it is not separate from plastic. Take anything apart, you find the same thing underneath. This world works exactly the same way. People, trees, stars, memories, emotions, pain, joy, all different shapes, all from one source. What looks completely separate is not actually separate. A jeweler starts the day with one block of gold. By evening, 4 completely different objects, 4 different prices, 4 different names, 4 different purposes, one material. Now here's the question Gita is asking. If you spend your whole life staring at the ring and you forget it is gold, you have missed the point. But the person who looks at all the 4 pieces and sees gold actually understand what is in front of them. That is the entire difference between living in confusion and living in clarity. The confused person sees world as a collection of separate things competing with each other. A wise person sees one thing wearing many shapes. Here is where almost everyone gets this thing wrong. People hear everything is one and immediately assume, okay, so if I really understand this, I just check out, quit my job, sit somewhere quiet, stop caring about anything. That is not what this means at all. Look at the actual people who reached this understanding in the history. Krishna knew the deepest truth about the nature of reality, still showed up to one of the most complex military and ethical situations in human history, still counseled, still led, still acted every single day. King Janak, fully enlightened by every account, still ran an entire kingdom, still collected taxes, still settled disputes between people every single day. Adi Shankaracharya walked the entire Indian subcontinent on foot, debated the greatest scholar of his era, built institutions, wrote texts that are still studied and debated today. These were not the passive people. These are some of the most engaged, productive, effective human beings who ever lived. So what actually changes when you gain this understanding? Picture 2 surgeons walking into an operating room. The first surgeon is anxious. Their whole sense of self is tied to the outcome of this surgery. If something goes wrong, they spiral. If a patient's family says something unkind, they go home unable to sleep. The second surgeon cares just as much. They are just as skilled. They are just invested in the patient's well-being. But they have learned something that first surgeon hasn't. They know their job is to bring absolutely everything they have. to this moment, right now, this patient, this procedure, and then release what cannot be controlled. When they leave that operating room, they reset, they come back tomorrow, and this is what this understanding actually looks like in a human life. Full effort, complete presence, and no collapse when you cannot control. Goes differently than you hoped. There is a version of this idea floating around that says the world is an illusion. That's not that simple. This could be a misreading, and it matters to get this right. Take a glass of water, put it in a freezer overnight. In the morning, solid ice. You can hold it, it has weight. Drop it on your foot. It hurts. Is the ice fake? No, it is completely real. But is the ice separate from water? Also, no. It was always water. It will be water again. It never stopped being water. The world is like that ice. Real. It changes form. It affects you completely. It matters enormously. But it is not separate from its source. And the source never actually went anywhere. Vedanta, the philosophical tradition this comes from, does not say nothing exists. It says the feeling of total separation. You over here, everything else over there. That feeling is the root of confusion. And correcting it changes how you see everything. Walk through the floor of steel factory. Bolts, beams, wire coils, structural panels, pipes of 30 different sizes, chaos, hundreds of different objects. Now walk to the back where the raw material comes in. Steel, that's it. One thing. Everything else is just steel that has given a different shape. The scripture says it plainly, Sarvam Khalmidam Brahma, which means everything is Brahma. Everything is that one source, not as a metaphor, as a description of what is actually happening. This is where the philosophy stops being philosophy and becomes something you can actually use. If someone genuinely reaches this understanding, if they really see through the illusion of separation, how do they behave? Do they stop caring about people? Do they become cold? Do they turn into some kind of emotionless robot? No. The answer is the complete opposite. A wise person still treats their parents like their parents. They call, they worry, they show up, they take their work seriously, they do it well, they care about the outcome. They treat danger like danger. They do not wander into traffic saying everything is one. From the outside, they look entirely normal. The difference is invisible from the outside. On the inside, no bitterness that keeps reopening old wounds. No jealousy quietly corroding everything. No ego so fragile it shatters at first criticism. No desperate grip on outcome. They never controlled. They are in the storm. They're just not made of the storm. Think of a great actor playing villain. Every night, full commitment. Every line delivered with right weight. Every scene is fully inhabited. The audience believes it completely. And then the curtain comes down. They take off the costume. They go for dinner. They're not a villain. They knew all along that they were playing a role. A wise person lives every role in their life with exactly that kind of commitment. Parent, employee, friend, leader, child. They show up fully in everyone. They never forget that the role is not the whole story of who they are. When the role gets difficult, and all the roles do, they don't dissolve into it. A commercial pilot knows that aircraft better than almost anyone alive. Every system, every alert, every procedure for every emergency imaginable. The depth of the knowledge is real. It changes how they see the plane. But the knowledge does not make them reckless. Air traffic control still exists. Flight paths still matters. Protocols still apply because those protocols protects everyone on board. Deep understanding does not create the freedom to ignore responsibility. It creates the clarity to carry responsibility without being cursed by it. The scriptures are precise on this point. A person with genuine understanding does not use it as a reason to withdraw from society or treat others carelessly. As Sri Krishna put it, I live this myself. Now you live with it too. Keep doing your work, do it. Do it with full care. What changes and what doesn't. The actions of a wise person and an ordinary person often look identical from outside. Both show up, both work, both love, both grieve. The difference is the quality of what happens inside. While those actions are happening, the one person is being pulled in every direction by results they cannot control. The other person is giving everything and then realizing what was never theirs to hold. The Gita calls this Nishkam Karma, action without desperate attachment to the results. It is one of the most psychologically sophisticated ideas ever put into words, and it was written down thousands of years before modern psychology existed. None of this requires becoming a philosopher. Here are three concrete places to apply what we just covered. The most acute pain comes from the feeling that something is permanently destroyed, permanently lost, that the break is total and final. When that feeling arrives, try a different framing. The form changed, the source is still there. This does not erase the grief. Grief is real, and it deserves space. But it can stop you from the spiral, from pain becoming the story of everything. You are a son or daughter. You are an employee, you are a friend, you are someone's partner. Those roles are real and they matter completely, but none of them is the full story of who you are. When one of those roles gets threatened, reduced, or lost, you do not have to collapse with it. You were here before the role, you remain after it. Put everything into what is in front of you, every resource, every bit of focus, then release what you cannot control. Gita calls this Nishkam Karma. It sounds like a spiritual instruction. It is also just a description of how every high performing person who ever existed has actually operated. Not detachment from the work, full attachment to the work, detachment from the result. The world is not fake, it is real, completely, undeniably real. The people in it are real. What happens to them matters. But the feeling that we are completely separate island, floating in the same ocean, never actually touching, that feeling is the confusion that causes most of the unnecessary suffering people carry. The wisdom in these texts does not ask anyone to escape the world. It asks for the clearer way of seeing it. If something in this landed, the comment section is open. Until then, see you next time.